Welcome to another episode of Junior Achievement of South Florida's Recipe for Success. Just as there are no two recipes that contain the exact same ingredients or measurements, there are no two success stories exactly the same. Recipe for Success features entrepreneurs, visionary leaders, and innovators of all ages who will share the ingredients that make them successful. Here's your host, Lori Salarulo, President and CEO of Junior Achievement of South Florida.
Hi, everyone. I am Lori Salarulo, and I'm your host for JA's Recipe for Success. I am so thrilled to be here and to have the opportunity to feature leaders and entrepreneurs and advocates and community leaders in our Broward County area, and learn all about what they're doing to make this a better place, as well as what they're doing to be successful leaders. And how we can learn from them as well. And also to learn more about their industries and their businesses, especially during this pandemic time. So today's guest is someone who has been a longtime supporter of Junior Achievement of South Florida. I have known him in the community for quite some time, but really all about giving back. And I love this story because our guest, Patrick Daoud, who's the owner of Daoud's Fine Jewelry, was established in 1895. So can you imagine that they're going into their fifth generation? And so welcome to Patrick, and we're going to talk more about that, I know, but how are you?
Doing great, Lori. How you doing?
I am doing great. You know, I know we're probably supposed to say we're not doing well because we're in a pandemic, but, you know, I think that's one of the things I've always admired about you. You are always smiling no matter what, and you make the best of things.
Absolutely. That's the only way to go. That's the only recipe. If you feel negative, you're going to be negative. So you have to be positive. Life's wonderful.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think, you know, it's interesting. I send my nieces and nephews all a quote every morning in a text. So when I send it too early, they really don't like me very much, but, you know, because they're sleeping in. But I just said to them the other day, I want you to stop and just for a few minutes, write down 10 things that you are, you know, grateful for, that you are fortunate that, you know, not to get religious, but that God gave you in your life, right? Whatever your religion is, right? If you have some faith, you realize that maybe that has something to do with it, you know, and what you're so fortunate to have. And because I think we don't stop and do that often enough sometimes.
No doubt. We're all blessed as long as you have your health, which is important, and your family, which is important. I was reading something earlier about Steve Jobs, and as successful as he was, unfortunately on his deathbed, all the success he had, he just didn't have connection with his family and his friends, and so, you know, it's got to be a whole package, you know, health, family, love, friends, and you know, business and giving back to the community, and just doing something where, you know, on your last days on earth, you're going to be able to say, you know, I did okay. I did it right. So. Absolutely.
And you mentioned the word family several times in that. And so I want to touch a little bit on what I mentioned in the introduction, which is, you know, that this is, as you said, you're the fourth generation, correct? And then now you have the fifth generation involved in the business. You know, talk a little bit about that. You know, maybe just, you know, sometimes how do you keep that going for so long? I mean, 1895, that's a long time.
Yeah, it's a difficult, you know, in the business or any business, you know, in reading up on this, you know, there's a generation that either doesn't have the desire, doesn't have the knowledge, doesn't have the work ethic. Just so to have it for 125 years is definitely one of our you know, one of our proudest achievements. I started doing this when I was a teenager, and I actually went to college when I was real young. I always worked for the family. You know, nobody sat around; everybody worked. And I actually went to college to be a dentist, and I worked full time, and I went to college full time. So I didn't have that college experience. one thing is I've never had a drink in my life. I've never taken a drug in my life, which is a little bit unusual. So I've never had that college experience. And the more involved I got into the family business, the more I really, really enjoyed it. So I switched from pre-dent to business, and started when I was the next generation, did things the way that I wanted to do, and here we are. We're one of the, if not the biggest jeweler in Fort Lauderdale, and one of the best jeweler in Broward many years in a row, and so we're blessed, and we work hard at it, but we're blessed for sure. Now we have the next generation coming. My niece Bailey is doing all of our marketing, and so we have the fifth generation. So in the United States, there's about 25,000 jewelers, and the number of jewelers that are in business with the same family for over 100 years is less than 100 in the country. So we're something proud. We're really, really proud of it, and something not too many people can say.
Yeah, you're in a special club, it sounds like.
Yeah, absolutely.
You worked your way up, obviously, in the business.
Yes.
And so how, I'm assuming, but I don't want to assume, but I'm thinking that you might have had to do things differently than, right, the family member before you.
Absolutely.
So how did you know, right, getting into the business, what were some of the things you did? What were some of the things you had to have in you, right, to make those changes, especially when the family before you all think that you should keep doing things the way they want you to do them, right?
That's such a great point. One lesson I learned is always have to adapt. Whether it's my niece, who's fifth generation, whether it's us currently, or myself when I was, the young whippersnapper that was coming up. So, years ago when I got involved with the business, like my family wasn't into the bridal market. In the bridal market, there's a lot of detail. The couples, you have to spend hours and hours with people, where years ago it was like, here's a ring, here's about the quality, and do you want it, do you not want it, type of thing. Where nowadays with the internet and all the information, it's so much better for the consumer. You just have to educate the consumer. So we educating the consumer makes it so much easier for us. And information is key for the consumer, and we thrive on giving out the information. In fact, even on the back of my business card, I have a whole schematic about qualities of diamonds, and so everybody, when they look at it, they're familiar with what it is. And another thing too is with the internet and the next generation is pricing. So I'm doing this 43 years, and I've never had anybody say that I overcharged them. And which is, there again, great for the consumer. So we know our market. We know what every single store sells something for. So we always want to be less than everybody else. And a lot of places say that they're less, but they're less because they're selling an inferior product and not disclosing it. So we have a money back guarantee. We stand behind it. I put my cell phone on my card. If somebody has an issue, they call me at midnight, I'm picking up the phone. So, they didn't do that in the past generation. So, internet's had a lot to do with it. The information about diamonds is not like it was years ago. They used to call a diamond a white diamond, a silver cape, and now there's just specifics on percentage of depth and top of the area. And we sold a diamond the other day, and somebody said we were cheaper than Costco, which we were, because
Wow.
we know what the market is. So when somebody comes in here, not that it happens every time, but the large majority of times people come in, they're going to buy from us because of pricing, stand behind it, working with it, and then
as you said, customer service and helping to educate them so that they develop that trust.
Absolutely.
Your customers, right? So it's interesting, all of these things are so important, and even in normal times, right, there's so much competition, as you said, in the industry. With the pandemic, I'd love to hear a little bit about how the pandemic and COVID have affected right? The luxury retail. So retail, for the most part, seems to be doing okay, especially home type goods and things like that. How is it doing in the luxury item?
Well, in the jewelry business, you can have, like every other business, higher end, lower end. There are, there are quite a few jewelry stores that are going out of business, and the strong get stronger, the weak get weaker. So that's something to keep in mind is always be on top of your game and always be the business that takes one step farther than anybody else, that goes the extra mile, that stands behind it. And it's little things like that. I spent 2 hours just yesterday with somebody who had a $200 repair, and literally I spent hours with them and pictures and there again, it's kind of like escrow in the bank, where down the line they're going to tell their friends, they're going to do whatever. So with us, do what everybody else is not doing. Another thing we've done during the pandemic is we diversify. A lot of stores aren't keeping up with the times, whether it's pricing, styles. We have a large inventory, and we diversify in a number of ways. We have a store that is open to the public. In addition to that, we have a very large wholesale business. So we do numerous things like supply other jewelers, where if you go into a store, the piece you might be buying might be mine. We have a wholesale business with diamonds. Like yesterday, I got a call from a jeweler in California of a diamond that I own, the 9-carat diamond, well in the 6 figures. And, they don't have the access to it. They don't have the inventory. We have a big online presence, and our online presence is worldwide. So, so you can't just rely on somebody walking through the door, even though that's wonderful for us. You have to have different efforts. So during the shutdown, we had somebody local, a woman local here in town, who right when we were closed called up, and she wanted her jewelry, and it was a very expensive item, and we delivered it. And but in addition to that, we were selling through eBay, we were selling through this website, et cetera, et cetera. So with us being closed, we were closed to the public for 2.5 months. The public couldn't walk into our store. You could walk in if you had to sell something. We're the largest jewelry buyer in I don't know about South Florida, but definitely in Broward County. So if somebody needed money, we could buy something from them. But being closed for 2.5 months, and being the economy is so great, and our sales every year go up. With us being closed 2.5 months, this year will be up about 2 or 3% with us being closed 2.5 months. So
Wow.
diversify. Every single transaction is important.
Wow.
Make yourself accessible. It's
That is key.
the price is right. I mean, obviously, with all this, if you're not lower priced than anybody else and selling the right product and standing behind it, it's not going to work. So
Yeah. Wow. That's you don't think about that, right? We walk in the store and we think it's retail. We
yeah,
never
absolutely.
know what's going on behind the scenes. But you certainly you were prepared, right, for this, for anything that might happen in our economy. And wow, genius, Patrick. I'm like blown away by all this. And then I didn't even realize, because we don't know the inner workings, right, of your industry and your business, but very astute. And I'm really impressed and inspired by that. I think, one of the things that I think I see a lot, and I saw it in the last recession as well, is companies pull back from the community, right? And not only from the community, but from marketing. And let's talk about marketing first.
Okay.
I've not seen you pull back from marketing.
Have not
If
pulled
anything, I've seen more marketing.
Absolutely. I think that's a little bit of a mistake that people do. Obviously, you have to have the financial wherewithal to do it, but we want to keep the name out there. We literally, we didn't pull back on marketing 5%, 1%. We did everything the same. In fact, while we were doing all of this, one of the marketing things we're doing right now is we're creating commercials for TV. Now, we've done that before, and the way we do a lot of our marketing is some of the marketing that we do, we'll do it for a certain amount of time, and then we'll stop it just to keep it fresh, and then we'll take that money from our marketing and putting it into something different. So we might cut back a little bit on billboards, and now we're putting it into commercials. Certain things like we have bus benches all over town, and that we don't leave because there again, that's, people see the name out there. Just got to keep the name out. You got to keep the name out there, and the positivity. The main thing is we're in business 125 years. We're 30-day money back guarantee. We have a message. So I see advertising from other people, jewelers and other people, where there's no message. And the message is we sell widgets and come buy from us. Well, there's got to be a reason people are going to buy your widgets, and ours is money back guarantee, pricing, standing behind it. You have a problem, you're not going to have a problem. We're going to fix the problem. And
you're going to be around.
We're going to be around. Absolutely. We're not going anywhere. That's for darn sure. So,
it's so interesting. This morning I posted on LinkedIn, and I know you're on all the social media. So, but this morning I posted a podcast about how companies like Airbnb, the for-profit businesses now are saying, "Oh, wait a minute," especially with COVID. We need to focus on our purpose, right? Not just the bottom line. Right. Well, nonprofits have been doing that for, thousands of years. Right. And so it's interesting. I feel like you've had a purpose. Your business has always had that purpose and reason, right? And passion for why you're in business.
Absolutely. For us to have somebody come into the store, we had a family come into the store. There were 4 generations that came into the store. A little baby came in, the next generation, and things like that just give us, me, our team, the store, just the motivation to keep going. Or to my grandfather sold grandparents their engagement ring, and then the grandkids are buying them from us, et cetera, et cetera. So between the passion of it's so far beyond the bottom line, between the passion of that and the passion of giving to the community is just something that we just take so personal, and it's such a personal and emotional thing for us that we just take so serious. And it's not about the bottom line. It's about just making everybody happy, doing right for the community, doing right for our people. And it's simple. I mean, it's so simple. It's not inventing the wheel. It's just doing whatever everybody's doing. Do it that much better.
I love it. I love it. And so, and by the way, that reminds me, I need to get back in because I still have my mom's engagement ring and wedding band from my dad, and we had started to design something. Yeah. And then I put it aside, and you know how that happens. But it's something that I really do want to have with me always. So,
yeah, and that being part of that memory.
What's that?
How do you put a value or a price on that? And there again, this is what life's all about. I mean, it's not about the bottom line with this. It's about the thing of you telling your friends, look at what Patrick did for my mother's ring, and I take that so personal. I mean, I just take that so, I don't want to tell you how many times I cry when people come in, or have a tear in my eye. It's just so I'm the luckiest guy in the universe, no doubt about it.
Oh, I love when people think they're so lucky, and I love that. And so being lucky, and being fortunate means, there's a saying, and I don't know it exactly, but basically they're saying that when we are lucky and when we are fortunate, that we have a responsibility. Oh, there you are. So giving back has been something that you have done, and the family has done, and the business has done for so many years. And as I mentioned in the introduction, you've been a longtime supporter of Junior Achievement, especially our Circle of Wise Women. Oh, wait, it's on this side. My pin for tomorrow night. We have our Rose Soiree, which thank you so much for that gorgeous pearl and diamond necklace, which I have to buy my tickets for. But is it not just that, but you've made these pins for all of our members, and no matter what we're doing, whether it's Uncorked or any event, you are always there to support us, as you are with so many. I mean, the list goes on and on. What is it that makes you do all that? Is it that it just feels good? What is it?
It's it's twofold. Make it feel good, obviously gives you a sense of accomplishment, and then just to have a responsibility. People have responsibilities to it's like I mean, just using Junior Achievement as a as an example. I mean, what you do for kids, we're involved with, I don't even know how many, but it's over 40 charities, and anybody else comes along, we just don't say no, So with Junior Achievement, we love the fact that, it's just so important for kids to learn about finances, entrepreneurship, business in general. We first got involved so many years ago, I can't remember how many years ago. It reminded me of, I had a great aunt that I took care of, and she had no kids, so I was like her son. And after my uncle, her husband, died, I mean, she literally didn't know how to write a check. And then in knowing what Junior Achievement does, you just magnified the importance of that. Kids need to know this is their future, how to handle money, how to create a business, how to do whatever. So, loving the fact that kids are involved is a passion for us. So that's why we love Junior Achievement. And besides that, we buy tickets for our whole team, because literally it's the favorite function of the charities of the year. One of the favorites, because I don't want anybody else to get mad, any of the other charities to get mad. So it's one of the favorites that are,
I always I go, don't tell anybody I said you're my favorite. Meanwhile, it's broadcast all over the city.
Exactly. So you guys do a great job. And one of our mantras here at the store is, it's Anne Frank had a saying, is like, you can never go poor by giving. So we're in the position, you included, we live in a great community where there's just so many people that are involved and want to be involved. And I get people all the time saying to me, listen, I want to get involved. What should I do? So we give them different names of different charities. And just recently, well, not just recently, right after quarantine, if you remember, it was near impossible to get hand sanitizer. Yeah. So there again, we, as a team, we made it our mission to try to track down a manufacturer, and we did, and we ended up handing out hundreds of gallons of hand sanitizer, where they couldn't come in here. So literally, on my day off, I'm delivering hand sanitizer to Boys and Girls Club, Big Brothers, and we had one of the smaller charities that. Came in again. It's called Canine Therapy, where they send dogs to kids that are that have problems, and adults, and et cetera, and to have her talk about, we couldn't open without this hand sanitizer. We couldn't get it. We couldn't afford it. We couldn't, and I didn't even think of the magnitude of the smaller charity that how it had such an effect. We couldn't open without this, etc. And it was like, it's brings a tear to your eye, and it makes you want to do more. It makes you want to do more, and and then everybody needs to do that. Everybody needs to have that feeling. Everybody needs to have the need of giving and helping others, and
it just makes you feel so good, right?
So darn good. I'll tell you, it's so darn good. So it's got to be an important part of your being. If you happen to be in a business that is successful and well respected, you need to have the charities feed off that and help in fundraising and to help in right now it's COVID's a tough time, so we all need to go out there and just make sure that all the charities are taken care of. So.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there are companies right now who normally give to the community, right, who are struggling, and so they may not be able to do that. And so those of us who can, whether we're individuals, corporations, foundations, right, we need to make sure that we're stepping up if we're still doing okay. So I think that's a great point.
Yeah, everything is virtual, and that doesn't mean you couldn't give whatever you need to do, however it is. It's not about it's just about how much money can the charities raise to take care of kids like on your end, or kids with cancer, or teenagers with cancer, or foster homes, or
exactly.
You name them all.
Exactly. So you mentioned the word entrepreneurship a couple of times. And so you are the consummate entrepreneur. If you could give our students, our JA Fellow students, we're going to have to get you as a shark maybe this year.
Okay.
If you could give them one word of advice as an entrepreneur, as they're running their business, what would that be?
Gosh, there's so many words. I mean, what comes to mind is straightforward. Just be straightforward with people. Just be straightforward with people. Tell people exactly what it is. Unfortunately, there's some places that aren't full disclosure, and we see it in the jewelry business all the time, where we see it online all the time. I could tell you stories that would be, my brother bought something on eBay and it wasn't what it was purported to be, and they wouldn't take it back. And
that's feeling.
Yeah, so being straightforward has to do with everything. Price, standing behind it, like we spoke about before. Just the way that it is, and there's that's as simple as that sounds.
Right. Yeah, and you might lose a sale because you were straightforward, but you know what? That's okay, because
absolutely. Absolutely. There's some people that feel like they want to get something for nothing, and that's not a good thing. So. Exactly.
So I always end before I go to your main ingredient to success, I want to, it's funny because when I start to read back some of these ingredients, usually we do this at the kitchen at JA World, but these days we're in my kitchen. And so I usually have a whiteboard where I put all these ingredients that you mentioned, and as I pull them out of the conversation, and just some of the things that you mentioned, and some of them several times, so I know they're important to you, is, number one, of course, always staying positive. And if you're positive, right, things will be positive. So that optimism, I love that about you. Making sure that you're including all the things that are important to you in life: family, friends, faith, business, community, right? All of those things, having all of that, it makes for a fuller life. I love that you started out as going into school for a dentist and then switched to business. You talked about hard work. You talked about having to adapt. Educating the consumer and quality, that being open, right, and being able to sharing your gifts and your knowledge. And to me, that the bottom line of that one is really about developing trust, right?
Absolutely.
They begin to trust you because they understand that you know this, and
Absolutely.
you're going to steer them in the right direction. Standing behind your business, your quality, your merchandise, all your reputation, all of that. I love when you said this: the strong get stronger, and that's true. But part of why we get stronger, I think, is that we bring others with us, right?
Absolutely.
You have an entire team that you've brought with you, which has made you stronger. Always being on top of your game, going that extra mile. And I love this one. This is the one that I circled, was diversification. Making sure that you're not just a one-trick pony, right?
Absolutely.
And that you're not just one product, but that
Absolutely.
if in case something happens like a pandemic, right, your business can withstand the test of time and can withstand whatever happens through that. Keep on marketing, keep getting your name out there, shifting, right, with the market to make sure you're in the right places, but continuing to build your reputation and credibility, and the straightforwardness that you talked about, advice to our kids, making sure your organization knows its purpose and stays focused on its purpose, and that you can never go poor by giving.
Mm-hmm.
What an amazing recipe for success. I mean, it's no wonder that, you come from amazing stock, obviously. 100.
I appreciate that. After saying all this, I'm feeling good about myself. I got to say this.
Know, right?
You don't
realize all these ingredients.
Not at all. Yeah, it comes from the heart. I never thought about that. Yeah.
But before I end, I always ask everyone this question, and that is, what is Patrick Daoud's main ingredient to success? It might be one of the ones you mentioned, but it might be something different.
There's there's just so many things. Just, I guess the bottom line is do the right thing. Do the right thing. Whether it's your work ethic, whether it's your product, whether it's your marketing, whether it's your go down the line, delivery, accessibility, that would be what a quick thing as an example in doing the right thing, just to tell the kids and everything, is we're a big jewelry buyer. So if somebody's grandmother passes away, we buy their jewelry. If a jewelry store goes out of business, we buy their jewelry. If somebody gets divorced, whatever the reason might be. So people come into the store, and so we want to pay a fair price because we want to keep doing business with them. So the picture behind me on this side here, picture of me on the Today Show, national TV. Nobody knew it. They had a secret shopper, and Michelle Kaczynski was a correspondent at the time, but had no idea. So they went to 15 jewelry stores to sell jewelry. We offered the highest price. And the fact that they loved the story of our longevity, all of our awards, best jewelry store, et cetera, they put us on national TV. And just because of that, we had a 6-figure deal with somebody in California that I never met before, that they sent us their jewelry. And it gave me such pride. So just because of us doing the right thing, being straightforward, will create opportunities like you see up in the picture over here, that wherever it is, creates the opportunities and the business growth to succeed.
Yeah. And you know what? I know that you don't do it for that reason, but I always believe that karma, right? When you do good things come back to you. And so I feel blessed to be with Junior Achievement, to be one of the organizations that work so closely with you. Where am I? Oh, see, yeah, I can't get it. Where my pen proudly.
There you go.
It's crazy. And so tomorrow night we'll be pinning some new women. So I know they already came to the store to get their pins, which was great. And thank you again for the donation of the necklace. So if you're watching this, make sure that you get your tickets. And again, Patrick, thank you for everything that you do. Thank you for being so loyal and so supportive throughout the years.
And thank you for what you do for the kids. It's just so important. And it's hard to imagine if you weren't doing this for the kids, what would happen. So thank you for doing all of that. So.
Well, thank you. Thanks to everyone who's watching. Thank you again, Patrick, for being our guest today. And I look forward to seeing everyone on the next episode of JA's Recipe for Success. Keep it cooking.
Thank you.